Another day, another nail art design. Here I am going in for another Christmas nail design. Today I decided to actually use those Grinch nail decals I made. Unlike the other video where I decided to scrap them halfway through, I thought today would be a good day to actually use them. So I'm going in with a clear nail polish. I'm using this as my base coat. I'm hoping to not stain my nails as much as I normally have been. Not that there's any problem with having nail staining. I'm just trying to prevent it a little bit, trying to keep things as even keel as I can, trying to keep them looking a bit more natural. As you can see, my nails are already stained, and that's okay. I don't have an issue with the staining. I'm just already getting sick of people asking me about it, just because it's not a big deal. But I'm going to try and keep things looking as clean as I possibly can, just to avoid those comments. I'm just going to keep going in with that base coat, just trying to make sure I cover the whole nail. This will hopefully prevent some of the staining, but if not, it's really no big deal, honestly. It doesn't affect the nails or the strength of the nails, so overall I'm not too concerned. Now I'm going to go in and add my colored polish. I decided to go in with a shimmery green base coat. I decided not to do the red for these ones. I thought I've done a lot of red nails recently. Sorry for any noise going on in the background. That is my dog rummaging through all of my stuff. But I'm just going in with the shimmery base. I thought it would give me a bit of color in the background without overtaking the nail too much, or the nail design. I think it looks quite beautiful. There's little glitters in there, like a shimmer of green, and these little green flakies as well, which I think creates a nice look for the background of my design. I absolutely love this color. I think it looks gorgeous, and it's nice. You can still kind of see the nails in the background, but it won't completely take over everything. I'm just trying to make sure I cover the whole nail bed and make sure that I get from side to side and make sure the whole nail is covered. As you know, I have a bit of a C-curve in my nails, and I just have to make sure I go from edge to edge, because looking at it like this, you can't actually see where the nail ends, and I oftentimes miss those spots. So I'm just going in for a second coat. I did decide to make it a bit more opaque than it originally was, but it still leaves a bit of a shimmer, and it's not completely overtaking the background of the nail in the same way that like a creme polish would, or like a monochrome polish, I guess, or if it's just one color, it's really in your face, it's there. I find this one, because of the shimmer and the glitter and the flakes, that it kind of breaks up the nail a bit more. When I put other stuff on top of it, it's not all one color per se, so it kind of, I don't know, it just has a different effect, at least for me. But I love it. I love the way it looks. I love how when you put it in the light, it looks a bit different, and you can kind of get different looks going, and that's kind of how I want my nail polish to be. I think different nail polishes work for different designs, and that's perfect, because I'm not always putting on the same design, and most people aren't wearing the same design I am, so it works out quite nicely that way. Now that I've got those on there, I'm just going to admire how beautiful that polish is. Now I'm going in with my nail decals. I've got my Cindy Lou Who. Absolutely adore her, and I'm going to try and very carefully put her on the nail. I have a bit of a hard time with nail decals because I'll either leave them in the water too long or not quite long enough, and depending on, it doesn't matter which side of that you use, if you're too long in the water or too short, it can affect how easy it is to put on the nail. And either one of those, if it's not perfect, it can be harder. the nail decal can roll up a bit and it makes it hard to get it flat on there. Or it can kind of just shrivel up on itself. I don't know how to explain it, but it doesn't look as nice, and then it doesn't go flat on there either. Just going in with a bit of a red color to add some more shine to it. This beautiful red has some hollow glitter in it as well, and I find it just kind of makes it pop a bit more, and that's one of the things I love to see on there. I love to have a bit of an accent. I love nails that have I don't know what it's called really, but where it has like effects going on. And I love to see that with my nails. I'm not quite there, but even just adding a little pop of some glittery polish I think looks really nice. See, this Grinch I had a bit of an issue with. I cut his neck a bit too close and it fell off, so I have to kind of work with what I have and just kind of put it on in two separate pieces, which works fine. You just have to be willing to make those things work when you're working with nail decals. And see, he's all back together now. I just tapping him on there. And he's fine. Beautiful. Yeah. See, it's no problem once you get it all on the nail. It's just getting it there. I'm going on with a top coat for my thumb. Just securing that color in there, making sure everything stays where it's supposed to be. I'm going to go on and secure the decals that I've already got on there. Make sure that Grinch doesn't go anywhere. As you know, if you get water on them, or you might not know, but if you've seen any of my videos, you know if you get water on the nail decals after you put them on there, it will ruin them. It'll take away all the color and you'll be left with kind of a white shadow. I don't know if you know what white shadow, but that's essentially what it is, a white of what once was there. I waited a little bit before I put the top coat on my Cindy Lou Who nail there, if you noticed. Just because I wanted to make sure that the ornament was dry. Because I find with red nail polish, it bleeds a lot more than other colors. And I didn't want the color to bleed all over the nail or get on my top coat. For me, that happens a lot, and I have no idea why it's the red more than other colors. Maybe it's more pigmented, but it's just a bit of a issue I've had in the past. I'm going on with my glitter Christmas tree. I absolutely love the way this Christmas tree turned out. I used a nail decal as the main inspiration and then covered it in nail polish, which did make it actually a lot more difficult to use in some aspects. It didn't want to come off the background, the backing of the paper I used to print. But overall, I think it was worth it in the end. I love the way that glitter went on there. And I did have to draw my own trunk of the tree, but that is okay. Here's me going on trying to figure out how to put a star on top of the tree. I thought I could use these little glittery stars, but it did not want to stick for the life of me. As you can see, I'm just trying to get it to stay in there. And you couldn't see it as well because of the glittery background I found. You can't see it very well there because I have a hard time keeping my hand in frame. But instead, I went in with a little nail sticker I had of just a star, and I thought that worked perfectly. You can see it a lot better now than you could before, and that's what it's all about. It's just about figuring out what works for you and putting it on there. So now I'm going to encapsulate it again, making sure that I get the nail sticker and the nail decal covered in top coat to make sure that neither of them peel away later. I am a bit rough on my hands, rougher than I probably should be for somebody with long nails. So I like to make sure that the design's going to last. And this is how it turned out. I hope you guys liked it. And I'd love to hear what you think and what other nail designs you think I should do in the future. This is my second hand. I decided to do something different on my other hand this time. So I thought I would film that for you as well. I used the same base color on this hand, and I didn't film it, but I did use a base coat as well. I think. I would assume so. But either way, I'm doing my best here. So I'm going in and adding in the layer of color in there. Just trying to make sure I cover the whole nail again. It's okay if you don't. You can always get it with the second coat, but I find it's easier if you get it all with the first layer, and then you don't have to worry as much when you put on the second coat. It just kind of figures itself out, I guess. I don't know. This is just what I've found works for me. So I'm just letting you guys know that. And see, if you watch closely as I paint them, each nail has a different amount of flakes in them. And that's okay. As you go through your second coat, you'll get more flakes on there. It just depends what comes out of the bottle. I think that one's got way more than my pinky nail did, which is kind of interesting. I always feel like they should come out about the same, but they never do. And I'm just going to go in for another coat. Just trying to carefully put it on there. I'm trying to be so careful just because I just finished the set on my other hand, and I'm a bit impatient, so I did not wait for them to be 100% dry before I started on this adventure. Whereas normally I wait for one hand to be dry before I paint the next one. I thought, no, I can do it. Why wait? So I'm going in here, trying to very carefully not knock my hands around too much, because now I have two hands with wet nails, which is not a predicament I generally like to be in, just because I find it very hard. You can't move around, you can't grab anything, you can't do pretty much anything. It's very difficult. And I just put on my first decal. I had a hard time and I forgot to put my hand under the camera for that one. But this is my Grinch's hand, if you can recognize it. This is my detailing brush. Absolutely adore it. I find it works great. It'd work better if I knew how to use it properly and could properly get the right amount of polish on there. I find my lines end up thicker than I want them a lot of the time. But that is a user error. It has nothing to do with the nail polish. But I think that time it actually worked out pretty well. I got the line kind of where I wanted it. And I was able to just go in and work from there. Trying to add my Grinch on now. I'm just tapping him on. Just trying to make sure he stays where he's supposed to be. He's looking gorgeous. Look at him. Perfect. That's exactly where he should be. His hat's a bit close to flooding my cuticles. But that's okay. We can fix that up later. That's no big deal. Oh, I'm going in to add the ornament. This was a wild time. Normally I don't just go right on there with the nail polish, because I have a bad habit of putting too much nail polish on my brush and then it gets everywhere. So I would recommend actually for doing this is using like a dotting tool or something, or a smaller brush. This did work out well enough for me. I think it turned out great, but it won't always. And I did have to spend a lot of time trying to fix it and make a more circular look for my ornament, which was more difficult than I thought it was going to be. But overall, I think it turned out well, and that was my fault for not using the correct brush. But look at how glittery that is. It now matches Cindy Who's ornament on her side, which I think is amazing. Now I'm going in and trying to add Max on there with Max Deagle. I absolutely love Max. I think he's a great character. I think he's so cute, and how he just kind of sticks by the Grinch's side. And he's always looking for the best for, the Grinch, for himself, for the Who's. He's just an overall good guy. And I think people need to realize that a bit more. That he's doing the best he can, and he's a good guy for it. This is me struggling, clearly. You can't even see what I'm doing very well, but you can see I'm struggling. It was the antlers that really got me. They kept rolling up into a ball on top of each other. So I could not get it to lay flat. And that was going to ruin the look I was going for, so I'm just trying to hold it very carefully and trying to get it on there without it flooding the cuticles either, because when I add my top coat, I have to add it to wherever the decal is. So I'm very carefully trying to add it on there. But it's not working quite as well as I was hoping. As you can see, some of it's a bit too high, and I'm going to have to fix that later. But that is okay. Overall, I got them on there, and that's really what matters. Yep, see, I'm going in with the scissors to try and just cut off that extra little bit. See, no one has to know you did a little bit too much. You just cut that right off and call it a day. The rest of it will tap, tap, tap right on there, and no problem. Look at that. Now he fits. No problem at all, if you look at it that way. That's one of the things I do love. If you're quick enough about it, you can fix those things. Oh, I've got the nail polish out again. Oh yes, I was adding his red nose. Again, this should have been done with a dotting tool, but for some reason I had a lot of confidence today for this. And thankfully it worked out well enough that the confidence was not too misplaced. Now I'm going in with my top coat and just making sure everything is sealed into where it's supposed to be. Added a bit too much, but that's okay. I always just move it away with my fingers. You could do this with a brush and some acetone as well. I just find it's quicker and easier this way. So far it hasn't been a problem, but I would recommend you do it the proper way, just in case. I don't want anything to happen to anybody. And then we're going in and we're sealing in our nail decals on this side. We gotta seal in our Grinch. Our greedy Grinch who's going in to steal everything from the Who's. Ooh. Oh, and we're just fixing it up again. And overall, it's looking pretty good. I was, again, a bit nervous about putting the top coat over the red, just because I find it does bleed more than other colors. But it turned out all right. It did bleed a little bit, and you just kind of fix it up. As you can see, I'm trying to fix it up there on Max's nose. And I find if you just kind of swoop it away, 9 times out of 10, it'll work and it'll look fine. Sometimes it doesn't, and you just kind of have to live with that, because that's where I'm at with my nail art design. And that's okay. It's a learning curve. One day I'll figure out how to do it without completely ruining it. But we'll see. This one, I wanted to add a bit of glitter to the ball. I was also hoping this might help with it not bleeding so much when I add the top coat on there. It was just kind of a scattered hollow from Hollow Taco. And now I'm going in and hopefully not going to have red everywhere. Oh, I'm adding it to my fingernail. My pinky nail. Still letting that ornament dry. We're going again. For a lot of nail decals, I do find going over them more than once does help, because sometimes you miss part of it and you don't realize. And this just kind of helps make sure everything's where it needs to be. Because I would hate to have to go wash my hands and then have part of the design ruined. I've done that once, and I had a good cry after. It was devastating. When you have your nails almost completely done, and then I had to go wash my hands, and it was ruined. Just making sure everything's in and where it's supposed to be. Looking beautiful. I just need that one finger, my middle finger, to be encapsulated. There we go. As you can see, I'm a bit nervous about the ornament. I'm just trying to get everything else around it done, and I'm just going very slowly over top of it. And I know the glitter I put on there earlier definitely helped out there. Just making sure the red doesn't go everywhere. And look at that. They're turning out beautifully. I absolutely love the way these turned out. Both nails, or both hands, I think turned out gorgeous, and I'm so happy with the way they turned out. Please do let me know what you think of both sets and what you would do instead, or what you'd love to see. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!